Welcome to Tokyo Wave, recorded in a live studio in Harajuku, Japan, with your hosts Aaron and Parker. All right, everyone, welcome to episode 125 of Tokyo Wave. We're your hosts, Aaron Randall
and Parker Allen. On Tokyo Wave, we bring you weekly updates from our studio in Harajuku.
Join us in segments featuring this week's top news,
political happenings,
business,
and other random garbage.
To get us started, here are this week's top news highlights.
Japan Junior ruling party and U.S. envoy agree LGBT law needed before G7 summit.
Mitsubishi Heavy gives up first Japan-made passenger jet project.
Gunma Prefecture's mascot character, Gunma-chan, to enter the U.S. market.
This week in Japan. All right, so our first story. Japan Junior ruling party and U.S. envoy agree LGBT law needed before G7.
Kyodo News has reported that the head of the junior coalition partner of Japan's ruling party and the U.S. Special Envoy on Sexual Minorities agreed on February the 8th that it is desirable for Japan to enact a law for promoting the understanding of LGBT people before the Group of Seven Summit, which will be held this May in Hiroshima.
Komeita party leader Natsuo Yamaguchi said it is important to raise awareness that discrimination is intolerable. During his meetings with Jessica Stern, the U.S. Special Envoy to advance the human rights of sexual minorities.
Komeito's partner, the Liberal Democratic Party, is led by Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, who recently sacked a close aide for making discriminatory remarks against LGBT people.
Stern expressed hopes that Japan, the G7 chair, can realize a society without discrimination, while U.S. Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel, who accompanied Stern, stressed the need to enact the law while the topic remains hot.
Rambo strikes again. The government's stance towards LGBT people has drawn public attention in Japan after Masayoshi Arai, who served as one of Kishida's executive secretaries, told reporters last week that he would, quote, not want to live next door to an LGBT couple and that he does not even want to look at them.
Japan remains the only G7 nation that does not legally recognize same-sex marriage or civil unions, as many members of Kishida's conservative LDP have opposed the concept, emphasizing the country's traditional values, such as the role of women in giving birth and raising children.
Huh, they do that, eh?
So I guess up until now, that's the LDP has taken the stance that that's all they do?
No comment.
Fair enough.
Yamaguchi's Komeito and some opposition parties are seeking to enact the law for facilitating the understanding of sexual minorities during the ongoing parliamentary session, which lasts through June 21st. Kishida is scheduled to host the G7 summit in Hiroshima, his local constituency, for 3 days through May the 21st.
The bill was previously shelved, even though the ruling and opposition blocs agreed on a draft bill in May of 2021, after the LDP's leadership eventually opposed it over the phrase, quote, discrimination is unacceptable, with conservative members claiming the scope of discrimination is unclear.
Kishida has remained cautious about recognizing same-sex marriage in Japan, telling a parliamentary session last week, quote, it is a matter that could change people's views on family, sense of values, and society.
You know, it is surprising to hear that Japan is still, the only country that does not recognize same-sex marriage and or civil unions?
In the G7, yes.
In the G7, yeah.
There are plenty of countries that have very strict and even draconian laws related to LGBT people, but they tend to be in certain areas of the world.
Right. In Shibuya, though, I remember they passed something that allowed for same-sex marriage a while ago.
Well, so the problem, though, is that marriage is sort of administered by law.
Mm-hmm.
And local municipalities have started issuing these sort of special certificates, but they don't have any legal basis other than being recognized by the local municipality.
Interesting. So it's kind of like state versus federal law in the U.S.?
No, it's even more stark than that. I mean, you're basically talking about a local municipality issuing a piece of paper that doesn't mean anything legally.
Oh, wow. It doesn't hold up for anything. Okay.
Yeah, it's just like we recognize.
Ah, okay. So yeah, even worse then.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this is going to be interesting to see what happens, because Japan has really kept a firm stance on not allowing LGBT marriage up until this point. But maybe this combination of foreign pressure from the United States and, of course, pressure from its junior coalition partner could change the tide. And of course, in addition to that, this recent scandal involving one of the prime minister's own close aides really just sort of adds fuel to the fire. And this is already a topic that I would say Japan has come a long way from where it was 16 years ago when I first came to Japan. I remember people saying some really rude things about LGBT people back then. But these days, I mean, you see LGBT people on television. It's very accepted that they're different people who live different ways of life. And I think the Japanese public mindset now is a lot more open than before. But of course, that doesn't mean everyone is open to it, especially that guy named I.
Right. Well, it will be interesting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, and if anything, I hope that this will be a step in the right direction for changing that public mindset, because that's the biggest issue, is that lack of understanding and lack of respecting the human rights of people with different sexual preferences than the majority.
No, for sure.
I mean, whether they allow LGBT marriage or not, I think that that's a, human rights issue of sorts. And I think that Japan really needs to move in a direction where LGBT people are viewed as people. And, that's that.
All right, and up next, Mitsubishi Heavy gives up first Japan-made passenger jet project.
Kyoto News has also reported that Mitsubishi Heavy Industries said on February the 7th that it will terminate its plan to develop Japan's first domestically manufactured passenger jet, pulling the plug on a public-private project that was repeatedly hampered by delays before being frozen more than 2 years ago.
The enterprise, which officially started in 2008 and cost about 1 trillion yen, that's 7.6 billion US dollars, was suspended in October of 2020 after frequent technological problems, as well as a sharp fall in air travel demand caused by the coronavirus pandemic.
Mitsubishi Heavy initially expected to roll out its first plane by 2013, but a lack of know-how and technological snags caused the company to postpone its delivery date 6 times, leading to repeated design changes.
The single-aisle passenger jet with less than 100 seats, named SpaceJet, drew about 450 orders at one point, with customers that included ANA Holdings Incorporated and Japan Airlines.
However, the figure of orders nosedived to about 270 as airlines started retracting orders. Mitsubishi said it will cancel all of the remaining orders, as the aircraft will no longer be produced.
Mitsubishi Heavy president Seiji Izumisawa said at a press conference, "We cannot deny that we lacked the know-how in developing the passenger jets. We are no longer sure of its business viability."
In addition to the around 1 trillion yen already spent on the project, Mitsubishi Heavy said it would have to invest about 100 billion yen annually for the next several years to obtain a type certificate, which is a permit that attests to the airworthiness of an aircraft.
The project, supported by Japan's industry and transport ministries, initially raised hopes among many small and medium-sized aircraft parts suppliers across Japan, prompting them to increase capital spending in hopes of growing demand.
However, as Mitsubishi Heavy repeatedly failed to meet its delivery date, many suppliers and customers started to see the project as a lost cause.
Industry experts believe that the company's corporate culture of preferring in-house development rather than utilizing outside resources is partly responsible for the failure.
Experts say that Mitsubishi Heavy was too confident in developing commercial jets, given its history in making military aircraft, including Zero fighters during World War II.
Mitsubishi Heavy said it will liquidate its plane-making subsidiary, Mitsubishi Aircraft Corporation, and will transfer its staff to defense business-related departments, with an eye to developing next-generation fighter jets based on expertise acquired developing the space jet.
So, no more space jet? Welcome Space Fighter.
That's a cool name.
Mitsubishi Heavy's president, Izumisawa, said, quote, "Our initial estimate for the development costs were too optimistic," adding, "We didn't have enough engineers with such know-how, and it was rather hard to find any such engineers in Japan."
Ooh, that's a story, Parker, I think me, you, and our colleagues know a lot about. Lack of engineer resources in Japan.
Well, it just baffles me because, Honda, which successfully created the Honda Jet, which is, of course, a small business jet, which is extremely commercially successful, very quickly came to the conclusion that it would be much easier to basically do the whole project in the United States, where all of the engineers and resources and sort of infrastructure to design and build and certify an aircraft already there. Whereas in Japan, that framework and that ecosystem just doesn't really exist.
Yeah. It's funny they were criticized for not outsourcing when so many tech companies outsource like crazy in Japan. It is kind of sad that, Mitsubishi Heavy, and Japanese ventures like this really have such a really problematic engineering bottleneck. The Honda example is interesting because, in the US, there's Boeing engineers everywhere. It's riddled with aerospace engineers and engineers of all other types. Yeah, I kind of applaud Mitsubishi Heavy for not going the outsourcing route, because that's what every company does here in Japan. So kind of disappointing to hear they weren't able to be successful with this.
Yeah, I think it really just shows that, when you're trying to build a brand new ecosystem from scratch, developing a commercial aircraft is one of the most expensive and risky things a company can do.
Oh, for sure.
Think about all of the safety stuff that you have to engineer and design and test and test and test and test and test.
Yeah.
They really bit off more than they could chew, and obviously the only thing they have to show for it now is billions of dollars in losses.
I used to have a friend. He lived in Tokyo. He was a friend of a friend, but his job was every morning he would fly from Tokyo to Fukuoka, and they would test aircraft. And by test, I mean they would nosedive the aircraft like they're going to crash, and then make sure that the aircraft can pull out of that position. So like every day he was flying there and then getting on planes. And I think he wasn't the pilot, but he was an engineer, like a safety engineer, but literally like nosedive the planes, and like into the ocean, not hitting the ocean, but and then narrowly escaping, seeing how far they can push their design and safety protocols and everything.
That sounds like a really terrifying job.
He would come back into Tokyo every night and slam nihonshu and beers and stuff, because I can't even imagine that sounds like the most stressful thing I've ever heard of. But they gotta have people to do that, right?
Somebody's gotta do it.
They stress test the hell out of these planes.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was describing his job, it gave me anxiety. I was like, oh my god, man. And he had just gotten back, like flown back from Fukuoka. He's like, yeah, flying tomorrow, 6 a.m. I'm like, jeez, man. Ugh. But yeah.
So how many nosedives have you done this month, Bill?
That's too crazy of a job.
Ew.
They do exist.
Up next, Gunma Prefecture's mascot character Gunma-chan to enter the U.S. market.
The Mainichi has reported that the Gunma prefectural government has decided Gunma-chan, the mascot character of Gunma Prefecture in East Japan, will enter the U.S. market as early as this spring in an effort to increase its domestic and international recognition.
The Gunma prefectural government will launch overseas promotions such as exhibiting Gunma-chan at expositions in the United States where anime fans gather. It will also consider meet and greet events with fans in the US. So, American Gunma-chan fans, want to meet Gunma-chan? This is your chance!
The prefecture plans to promote in the US and other countries the second season of an anime featuring Gunma-chan, which will begin airing in April, and its first season, which has already aired. By having the overseas audience watch the anime on Amazon Prime Video and other streaming services, Gunma Prefecture wants to increase recognition and popularity among anime fans outside Japan.
Gunma Prefecture will also launch a new YouTube activity for young children ahead of the 30th anniversary of Gunma-chan's debut in 1994. The plan is to distribute videos of the mascot singing nursery rhymes and playing hand games, and the Gunma prefectural government is considering holding stage shows and inviting parents and children who have become Gunma-chan fans.
Parker, when I was back in the States, I spent a lot of time with my nephew who's 2.5. And, in the US, Cocomelon, and there's a bunch of other shows that are on YouTube, are like huge, like hundreds of millions of views every video. And some of these videos are just 2-4 minutes long. And the kids want to watch the videos over and over again. I'm sure, as you know, as a dad, like kids liked, especially 2 and 3, they like to listen and watch the same thing over and over and over again.
I've heard.
Yeah, but I think they're tapping into a very lucrative market, especially in the US. I mean, this stuff is really is a moneymaker if you can get in there and get popular.
So Gunma-chan has shown a different side of itself by performing intense dance routines on TikTok that the prefecture started sharing last October. In the initial budget plan for fiscal 2023, announced on February the 3rd, the Gunma prefectural government included a related budget of 330 million yen, which is about 2.5 million US dollars, for the Gunma-chan branding project.
The original Gunma-chan debuted in 1983 as a mascot character for a local sporting event held in Gunma, as a running horse with a blue mane. The second version, currently used for regional promotion of Gunma Prefecture, made its first official appearance at the 3rd National Sports Tournament for intellectual disabled athletes in 1994. Submissions for a new mascot design were accepted from the public, with prefectural employee Fumiko Nakajima's being chosen as the winner. Originally called Yuma-chan, the character is a pony that walks on 2 legs and was designed as a chibi version of the original.
Yuma-chan was rebranded into the present-day Gunma-chan after the opening of the Gunma General Information Center that was opened in Tokyo's Ginza district in July 2008, which is now commonly known as Gunma-chan's house.
The prefecture had a budget of over 125 million yen in 2020 to promote Gunma-chan and its brand. That budget was more than doubled to over 329 million yen in 2021.
Gunma-chan is eternally 7 years old, loves Gunma's famous onsens, has mysterious healing power, is unisex, and serves as the head of Gunma Prefecture's promotion department.
It used to be possible to rent costumes of Gunma-chan, but after the prefecture was inundated with hundreds of requests, in 2020 the prefecture halted rentals and limited those who can wear the costume to an official group of performers known as the Gunma-chan Caravan Corps, led by none other than, you guessed it, Gunma-chan, who are sent around the country to promote Gunma across Japan.
And I guess they're going to get sent to America now, too.
You know, this is pretty cool. I almost wish I was part of this project. It sounds like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, you get to wear a costume.
Well, just being on the marketing side, I mean, I guess this is the first major push to get one of Japan's, prefectural mascots overseas. Maybe not overseas, but into a big market like America.
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting move because obviously, Japanese things, anime, manga, are already huge in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And there is somewhat of a fascination with Japan's obsession with these yurukyara mascots that are cute and usually involve, someone putting on like a full bodysuit, kind of like a character at Disneyland.
Yeah.
And just doing a bunch of wild, crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about this is that obviously as a regional promotion character, the whole idea is not actually to make money, but to get people, of course, originally around Japan and now around the world, to become more interested in Gunma Prefecture. And funny story, actually, I was recently attending an event that featured the governor of Gunma Prefecture, Governor Yamamoto Ichita, and he actually is quite interesting character in Japanese politics. He was originally a lower house member serving for a district in Gunma, but he actually quit national politics and successfully ran to become governor of Gunma. And he loves to play guitar and sing, and he's got like a YouTube series about it.
Oh, wow.
And so this sort of, multimedia promotion thing is definitely no stranger to the governor. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he was also playing a key role in this sort of global push, which honestly, putting all of the pieces together could be extremely successful. The only question is, obviously, people like to watch anime, and an anime featuring Gunma-chan ostensibly would get people interested in Gunma, but will it actually get people to go to Gunma?
Yeah, that's the hard sell right there. I mean, definitely bringing Gunma-chan to America, having people dress up as Gunma-chan at different events and, exhibitions, everyone's going to want to take a picture with Gunma-chan, right? It'll blow up on social media for sure. But yeah, making that thread properly, tie up to Gunma Prefecture, it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah, it's like Funashi, the kind of official, unofficial mascot of Funabashi City in Chiba.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a while, like Funashi was everywhere, but
yeah,
did it get more people to go to Funabashi? I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah. If their goal was just money, they've already got really good budgets into this, right? Like 2.5 million. Most recently, I mean, They could just sell merch, online and through their YouTube channel and TikTok and stuff.
Make it in Gunma.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe you have to come to Gunma to buy the merch or something.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some kind of, you got to come to Gunma to get the merch, or you have to, there has to be some hook, right?
They should give away, like, tickets to Gunma, too, and, like, document the people going there and getting all the merch and meeting all the, Gunma-chans and all that stuff.
I think we just created a marketing plan for them.
Yeah, or we could just steal this and use it for another prefecture and sell them on the idea.
Aaron, I just bought 2 Shinkansen tickets to Takasaki.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, and up next on Weird Thing of the Week, we're going to be talking about a Japan sushi chain that reported a diner who licked utensils in viral clip to police.
Gross.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Tokyo Wave.
The Weird Thing of the Week.
Oh, hell no! Okay. Kyoto News recently reported on how the operator of major conveyor belt sushi restaurant chain Sushiro filed a damages complaint to police against a customer after a video of them misusing and licking unused cups and sushi racked up millions of views online.
The move by Akindo Sushiro Company comes as videos of customers' unhygienic behavior at its and competitors' restaurants, where food is served in plates that travel by conveyor belts that pass numerous customers, have attracted increasing negative attention and criticism online.
As they should, because that shit is gross.
Oh, yeah.
In the 48-second clip widely shared on social media, a customer at a branch of the Sushiro in central Japan's Gifu prefecture licks the open top of a soy sauce bottle, puts the rim of an unused teacup in their mouth, and then rubs a passing plate of sushi with a finger covered in their saliva.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, seriously.
Because of people like this. The operator filed a damages complaint to police on February 7th over the video. Although the company has received a direct apology from the person shown in the footage and their guardian, it says it intends to, quote, continue to respond strictly in both a civil and criminal capacity to the case.
The outlet in the video has since cleaned all of the cups in the affected store and replaced all of its soy sauce bottles.
They should have gotten the kid who licked it to clean everything.
That's so American.
Put that on social media, And, while he's cleaning, just, have some Japanese sushi chef just yelling at him, scolding him for all the bad things he did. Put 20 videos of that on social media,
Yeah, I feel like that would be criticized too, though.
Maybe. Customers at the restaurant and nearby outlets will also have to bring their utensils and condiments to their tables from a serving point. The company says it will also provide disinfected tableware to diners, requesting them at any of its locations nationwide.
Yeah, this is going to cost the company a lot of money changing different policies like this.
And Sushiro's everywhere, too. This is a big chain.
Also, Sushiro's competitor Hamazushi said that it also filed a damages complaint to police after a video went viral in January that showed a customer applying wasabi to sushi that appears to be traveling on a belt for food ordered by other customers.
This is why we can't have nice things. Yikes.
That's like, terrorism. That's like wasabi terrorism right there, man.
It's evil shit.
I mean, can you imagine that? You order this thing and you eat it and you're like, oh, wasabi!
Yeah. Especially people, that really hate wasabi. Oh my gosh. The company said it is considering filing a civil suit, including claiming compensation against the individual in the clip.
This gross problem is spreading outside the sushi business too, with a video of a customer eating from a serving spoon at an outlet of udon noodle chain Sukesan Udon making its way online.
The company, whose outlets are primarily based in the southwestern Kyushu region, said it has disinfected one of its stores and is mulling over how to respond further.
This sort of people misbehaving in restaurants, I think in America, it was always like the people in the kitchen, like spitting in cops' burgers and doing gross shit in the kitchen. But in Japan, it seems like it's these naughty customers in search of more video views doing this gross stuff in sort of a bid to grab people's attention.
That's a great point, Parker. Yeah, this, it's all, a lot of the recent stuff is all for the views. This happened like a year ago or a year and more, maybe longer before. There were a couple of restaurants that were doing stuff like the actual staff at the restaurants were throwing fish into the garbage and then taking it out and still using it. Do you remember these clips spreading on
Yeah. That was it always is these high school or really young aged employees who are, just trying to get some views on the internet by doing really gross and irresponsible things.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about mainly conveyor belt sushi restaurants. And I have to say, novel concept, it was actually originated in Osaka.
Oh, really?
And so I think it was around the 1970s, there was a entrepreneur in Osaka who thought, whoa, if I had the sushi travel around on a conveyor belt, just like the Shinkansen, it would attract customers.
Right.
And he was right.
Yeah.
And so it became this huge thing. And of course, now is very popular among both Japanese as well as foreign tourists to Japan. I remember, one of the first things I wanted to do when I came to Japan was go to one of those conveyor belt sushi restaurants.
No, me too. I used to go to Choshimaru a lot. To this day, I still go occasionally, but when I'm at Choshimaru and whatnot, if it doesn't have a lid on it, I won't take it. I like to order directly from the chef and get something new, because sometimes that stuff's on the conveyor belt for hours. And
yeah, so that's what I started to realize after living in Japan for several years, is that these conveyor belt sushi restaurants mainly cater to people who want to eat a lot of sushi for low prices. But the good sushi is actually pretty expensive and obviously goes around and round and round on the conveyor belt, so it's not fresh.
Right.
The whole point of good sushi is being fresh.
Oh yeah.
And cold.
Made right in front of you in real time.
Yeah. I mean, it's even part of sushi etiquette is to try and eat the sushi as soon as it is served to you, because that is its optimum flavorfulness.
Oh yeah. I'm a bit spoiled now, a friend works close to Tsukiji Fish Market, and I've been there a lot the past year. So yeah, conveyor belt sushi, I did used to eat quite a lot of it. I didn't really like it, pulling it off the conveyor belt without like a lid on it. That's, just thinking about it now is kind of gross. But yeah, just having it made in front of you by a legit chef, and they're using their hands and stuff, but they're constantly disinfecting and everything's very clean. That's just, I think it's a much better experience to get it from a real sushi joint.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think conveyor belt sushi, though, on the other hand, has experienced this continuing boom in recent years, especially among families. I've heard of friends and colleagues, waiting for hours to eat lunch at one of these, big chains.
Right.
And it's ridiculous. These places are packed. And because they're chains and, of course, economies of scale and all that stuff, they are making money hand over fist. And of course, if you're going with your family, if you're going by yourself, you might be like, oh, this one's 110 yen, but this one's 660 yen. But if you're a family going with kids, they're just going to take whatever they want to. So
yeah, they make a lot of money off the families. I noticed that too. People just grab and then, otosan okasan are just ordering, everything. Their plates are stacked so high, like especially families with like 4 to 6 people. It's nuts. They make quite a lot off of that.
And even up until recently, conveyor belt sushi was pretty much a low-end trend. But recently, actually just down the street from our studio, they've opened a high-end conveyor belt sushi restaurant.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes. So Tsukiji-based high-end sushi restaurant Onodera opened its first conveyor belt version here in Omotesando down the street, and it gets lines out the door.
I just had an idea. If the issue is that people are doing nasty stuff to the food while it's on the way, right? This would be like an order-based system. There's one in Shibuya that you order it and it comes out on a conveyor belt, but you only get stuff delivered to you that you actually ordered. What if there's like some kind of magnet or chip system where the thing won't open or unlock unless it arrives at the customer's spot?
So you're basically talking about like conveyor belt cybersecurity.
Yeah. No, seriously, I don't think this would be that hard to implement because there's, chips and codes and everything now, right? Like the 7-Eleven coffee knows exactly, maybe that's weight-based and not chip-based. I'm not sure if there's a chip inside the coffee mug. Probably not. But you could put a chip inside these little containers that hold the sushi, and when it goes to seat 37, it will finally unlock. And before that, it just won't unlock. If you know what I mean? Like it scans and bam, it's there, unlocks.
Fascinating, but it's like, I don't know, it's just... It sounds so ridiculous.
Or you could have a system where, if you pick up the thing to eat it and press a button to unlock it, you can't like, how do you say it? Put it back together so that it can look, because you want to make it so that if someone presses the unlock button, bam, they have to eat it. You know what I mean? You cannot put that back on the conveyor belt.
Yeah, I will say one newbie mistake that I made very early on living in Japan was putting the plate back on the conveyor belt.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
after you were done?
I did that. I was that guy. And of course, they count the plates to figure out how much you're supposed to pay.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And so, they must have thought, this asshole, he's trying to, skip on his bill. And I'm just like, I didn't know. I mean,
I could
sushi
see.
on, sushi off. I mean,
Yeah. I could see someone, like, what am I supposed to do with all these bowls? Oh, I guess we put them back on the conveyor belt, right?
Yeah.
And they'll just take them and that will be that. Yeah, that's probably, I'm sure a lot of foreigners coming here have made that mistake.
Yeah. And just like, I don't know, just like the whole, you got to stack them up and then they get counted. And
yeah,
it's very, I don't know. I just, the more I think about it, the less I am a fan of it. And it's like all of these problems and all of this sort of grossness would be fixed by one very simple solution. You order sushi from a sushi chef, he makes it for you, and then he hands it to you.
I mean, in Tsukiji, that's how they all operate,
Well, except for the conveyor belt ones.
Right. But, all of the, really, really good sushi places, I like that, so.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because conveyor belt sushi was such a cool phenomenon, and I think tourists are going to continue to enjoy it. But I think that the sort of trustability of both customers and employees at these chains is going to go down. There's going to be cameras everywhere, and it's just going to degrade the whole experience.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so as someone who's not a fan of conveyor belt sushi, I'm like, meh. But, for people who are coming to Japan and they want to see this uniquely Japanese experience, I feel bad for them because I feel like in the future, they're not going to be able to experience what used to be this cool, novel thing that was uniquely Japanese.
For sure.
We can't have nice things anymore.
Nope, not after those guys did what they did. That's too gross.
Stop looking the sushi.
I mean, that's the kind of stuff that will spread to foreign social media, right? People will be like, "Yo, did you hear at the conveyor belt sushi places, people are licking the food?" You know, that's not good.
Not good at all. Bad for business. You gotta take those guys out back and, teach them a little lesson about why you're not supposed to lick sushi stuff in the sushi conveyor belt restaurant, with a little bit of help from your buddies, Tommy Four Fingers and Jimmy the brass knuckle wielding boar animal.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Hiroshi's face. I think he fell down some stairs. You know what I'm saying?
But there aren't any stairs in the restaurant, so where are the stairs?
I don't know what to tell you. Get the hell out of here, all right?
Hey, you over there! Get out of here!
Hey, listeners, that's right. You listener right there.
Who do you think should be our next guest on Tokyo Wave? Let us know. Drop us a line via Twitter or at wave@tokyowave.jp.
We hope you enjoyed Tokyo Wave.
If you haven't already, you can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and YouTube.
Join us again next week on Tokyo Wave.